Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, June 3rd. So, what are we talking about today? Today, we're going to talk about what's the right way to start a lawn care business and when is the right time to start a lawn care business. Timing is everything, right? Maybe. Stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And yes, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd. So I get asked this question a lot. You know, when is the right time to start a lawn care business and how do I do it? And the first part is just as important as the second part. The first part is when. And what I would recommend is starting now. And I'm not saying to go out there and start now by trying to get a bunch of mowing jobs. If you have the time of nights and weekends available, that's one good way of seeing if this is what you really want and seeing if it's really worth it to you. But what I can tell you is doing it nights and weekends, that's extra money, right? We're talking about relying on just the income from running a lawn care business. There's two different things, two different strokes. That is, one, you keep your day job and you make extra money to have fun with. Or you take that leap and you're doing it full time to try to get an income coming in. And then if it grows and you add employees in, which you normally are going to have to, right? That comes with another whole set of rules and complications. But when I say now is the right time, I'm saying now is the right time for the planning stage of 2026, of the spring start. And most of your commercial guys, the big guys, they're going to be concentrating on like the Walmart parking lots, the banks, the HOAs, the apartment buildings. They want that business to business contracts, the big guys. And a lot of times they'll have 10 to 20 crews out there working. Can you become that business? Absolutely. There's no reason why not. It just depends on your skills, your people skills, your business skills. But those guys are getting good money per job, per hour. And they break it down into hourly before they bid that job. And that's what you do is you bid the job. And when you're bidding a job, be conscious of a lot of the commercial properties don't always take the cheapest. They don't. They look at your references. They will check, with people that you are already doing business for to see if you're reputable, if you pay attention to detail and you're there whenever they need you. A lot of times the cheapest guy is the guy that's trying to get in and he's willing to undercut the other ones. And there's no way he's going to make a profit, and there's no way he's going to be able to do what the bid sheet says they want. So if I were first starting out, I would concentrate more on the homeowners that, lawn by lawn by lawn, and you could do it like a seasonal contract if you have the ability, and that is to mow and then also take care of snow in the wintertime. But that takes time and equipment. But what else are you going to be doing during the winter months, right? So you're going to want income throughout the year, and you're not going to, for most of us anyways, we aren't going to make enough money in the mowing season to carry us through for the whole year. So now is the time to start planning for next spring. Now is the time to start doing your research in your area, because location. If you live in a more affluent neighborhood where people have more money, disposable income, then you can ask more money. But usually if that's the case, you either live in that neighborhood too and you're paying the high cost of rent and a commercial space for your business, and whereas out here in the middle of nowhere with us, it's cheaper. The land is cheaper. The putting up a business is cheaper. But you don't have the high income bracket people living in that area. Because if you did, a bunch of them would move in and take it over. That's what I usually see happen. So it is based on location as well. If you're in a more affluent area, then your prices have got to be higher. And I know some lawn care businesses that will travel 2 hours to where they work. 2 hours from home is where. And why do they do that? Because that's where the money is. See, a lot of the colleges have got grounds crews, but there are certain areas that the cost of having employees makes it cost prohibitive. If they figured out what they'd have to pay an employee or employees to take care of the grounds on an apartment building and remove the snow in the wintertime, it wouldn't be feasible, because they'd be paying the guy or gal more in that year than they would a lawn care business just to come in and hit it, for an hour or two a week and then out. And then you want to have adjuncts. And what are adjuncts? Adjuncts are, you may want to offer that landscaping, if they have some limbs they need to have trimmed up or fell in the backyard. Knowing how to run a chainsaw to be able to take care of that for them. See, the more you can do, the more valuable you become. All right? So they don't have to hire somebody else. They can you're the go-to guy. So if you're planning now, and that means getting your name out, getting business cards, finding a location. If you're going to work out of your own business location, or your garage is a great place to start. Start getting the contacts in. I'm serious, talk to the other lawn care businesses in the area. And it's just like the small engine repair shops and stuff. I always say, don't be competitive with the other shops. Seriously. What I do is I try to become friends with them. And if you're working with them instead of against them, you're better off. Because the last thing you want to do is snub somebody, and you're going to get, if you're friends with the other landscaping companies, they're going to tell you to watch out for Joe Schmo or this HOA, or because you're going to get burnt, because they've gotten burnt. That's valuable information, because you need to get paid, right? And if you sign on somebody that's been an issue in the past, could be you're asking for it. Now, I've seen where I've had people tell me, stay away from that customer. They're going to take advantage of you, or they're going to bitch and complain. They're going to do this and this and this. And I never saw any of it. But I attribute it to my approach with people. I don't try to put anybody on the defensive. And I don't ridicule anybody, and I don't make anybody feel less than. It's not my vocabulary. If anything, I want people to succeed. And even when it comes to fixing somebody's lawnmower, I want them to be happy with the job. Am I going to please everybody? I already know that's not. So you try to please most of the people most of the time instead of all of the people all of the time. So we know when is the right time, which is now, to start doing our stuff to get in place for next spring. What are we going to need? Well, if you follow my line of logic, you don't go out and buy brand new trailers, brand new equipment, and then think you're going to make a killing. Now, if between now and next spring, you land a bunch of contracts for the summer, enough to cover, let's just say you and an employee, and they're good contracts, a new trailer with two new machines would be a good idea. And then if you're responsible for the trim, which most of them are, you need a couple weed trimmers. And ways to get rid of the grass, because a lot of them don't want the grass left there. Some of them you can dump the grass out at the end of the backyard for compost and stuff. But those are the things you're going to want to think about. And you go with an enclosed trailer versus an open. The nice thing about an enclosed is when it's on there, it's not out in the weather. But if you have a shop where you unload the trailer at night and put the machines inside, just the same. But you got to watch out when it comes to how much money you're spending. See, if you're not in business, that's the first thing you're going to learn in business is you have to have more money coming in than money going out. You need to know where every penny is going, and you need to track all expenses. Because if you don't, you're going to say, oh, I made a killing this year. And in reality, you didn't make squat because you didn't keep track of all the stuff that was going out. Maybe the fuel in the truck to get there and back. You're not taking that into account. Wear and tear on your truck. How much you paid an employee overtime to try to catch up because it was a rainy early part of the week. So now you're slammed. Those are things you need to look at. And if it were me deciding to get into the lawn care business, I would probably buy a good used machine. And I would use that to get me started and then start putting money in the bank. Any of the profits that I make, put it into the bank and then use it to step out and purchase a new one at that place and time. The last thing you want to do is jump in head first, because if you don't know what's just beneath the water, it could be rock ledge, and you could be. So it's better to plan and plan well than just fly by the seat of your pants. And you need to find out all the rules and regulations when it comes to certain areas that you're going to be doing the mowing and snow removal. They may have a noise ordinance where you can't mow before a certain time in the morning or after a certain time at night. You need to know those things, right? And the last thing you want to do is go out there and butt heads with the big guys, because a lot of times those big guys are working with each other. And is there room for another big guy? Probably. But you can have wants to become one of those. But you need to start somewhere, all right? And most of those guys that have got the big lawn care businesses started out by themselves, just learning the ropes. And that's what I would recommend to any of you guys thinking of it. You need to be able to do every aspect of the job that you're going to ask somebody else to do. A, so you know what is entailed. B, so you know how to charge accordingly. And C, so that you know what you're asking your employee to do that you wouldn't do. You know, I wouldn't ask any employee to do anything that I wouldn't be willing to do. And actually, I don't have the expectations that high because in reality, I'm kind of an overachiever. So I don't expect people to run like I run. But you need to do the job, right? And you need to do it well enough. And time is money for me, because if you're on the books for the week, we need money coming in for the week. If the money's not coming in, then why not? And how can I afford to have somebody if the money's not coming in? If that makes any sense. So give that some thought. Write in the comments, you guys that are in the lawn care business and stuff like that. How did you start out? Did you start out with new equipment, or did you start out with used? Did you start like the year ahead of time trying to get contracts and bid jobs? Or, did you start out nights and weekends as a hobby, kind of working your way in and found that, hey, I can do this full time? Because that's what I find most of the time with these guys that have got pretty good sized lawn care businesses, is that they started out doing everything themselves. And then gradually, once they got to know every aspect and what was entailed and what were the costs, how many hours it took, they could just walk up on a yard and look, and they would know right off the top of their head what they're going to charge. I know other landscaping companies that are friends of mine, what they do is on a new job is they'll come in and they'll do it by the hour to see how many hours it's going to take to mow the person's yard, take care of all the crap, do the weed trimming, and anything else that person wants, and then bid the job for the rest of the year so that they have a given. They know exactly of what it's going to take in time and labor to complete the tasks, if that makes any sense. So on that note, you guys, like I say, put it in the comments. You guys have a great Tuesday. Today's cardiac rehab, so they're going to try killing me again. And we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning for the weekday. You guys have a great Tuesday.